Welcome to the Stronger Than Steel podcast with your host, Austin Davidson and John Keir, talking Steelers all the time. Now, here's Austin and John.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Stronger Than Steel podcast. Today is Season 6, Episode 39. It's going to be one of two parts. I'm not sure which one quite yet, but unfortunately, because of our schedules, me and John couldn't get together for this one. But I'm going to be recapping the Steelers' loss to the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. They lost 41-37. It was a close game at the end. The Steelers almost had one of their best comebacks in history. They just fell short, so unfortunately, it didn't come together. However, there was some promising things about it. There were some upsetting things. Let's start with some Steelers news and injuries first. So, Eric Ebron hurt his knee and is expected to get surgery. He's waiting on a second opinion, but it sounds like his season is done, which is unfortunate. But I'm glad that he got to go off on a high note. He had 2 catches in this game, one early on and then one for a touchdown. So he got to go off on a good note. I'm sorry, he had 3 catches in this game. I forgot about the 3 catches. He had 3 catches on 3 targets. So he's going off on a good note. He's not going to be remembered for a drop or anything. He's going off as a guy that got a touchdown for the Steelers in his final game and almost getting a comeback. I wish the best for him. If he's not a Steeler, it's likely that he's not after this season. This is probably his last year with the team, but I appreciate what he's done. He's been frustrating at times, but I hope everything goes all right if he needs surgery. Next up, J.C. Hassenauer hurt his pec. He didn't practice Wednesday. We should know more about the severity of his injury later in the week. Important to note that Joe Haig stepped in when he went down instead of B.J. Finney, even though Finney was active and available, so that was interesting. Trey Turner has a knee injury that caused him to miss practice on Wednesday. I don't believe it's anything severe, but we'll have to monitor it through the week. The Steelers would be very, very thin at guard if Turner is no-go after this week. Then Ray McCloud has been put on the reserve COVID list, just the newest one to be added. It's unfortunate that we're getting hit with COVID this late in the year, but it is what it is. Look for Steven Sims to be elevated next week if Ray McCloud can't go. And that being said, as of Wednesday night, Thursday morning, we'll get to that in a second. But as of now, Minkah Fitzpatrick is still on the COVID list. I do think he'll be available for next game, but as of right now, he's not off the list. Then the Steelers made a flurry of moves, including promoting Kevin Rader to the active roster, signing Rashad Coward back, and tight end Jay Sternberger to the practice squad. Both Rashad Coward and Jay Sternberger are to the practice squad. I should make that clear. And the team released quarterback James Morgan. James Morgan has since reunited with the Jets on their practice squad, which makes sense because 2 of their quarterbacks have COVID, in Joe Flacco and Mike White. So what I wanted to get back to is Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. This episode should be going up on Thanksgiving. It is currently Thanksgiving morning, very, very early. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone. It also happens to be my birthday, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has a good time. I hope you enjoy spending time with family, get to do things you like, and of course watching 3 games of football, including watching the Detroit Lions get smashed, like as is Thanksgiving tradition. But back to the game. Back to the recap of the game against the Chargers. It did not start off well. The Steelers went down pretty early. By the second half, it was 17-10. And then the third quarter, the dreaded third quarter. It is the worst quarter for the Steelers. I would not... going back, I have to get the statistics, but I guarantee the Steelers are outscored something wild in the third quarter because they just performed poorly. So 17-10 is not that bad. You do wish that they scored a touchdown earlier in the game where Ben Roethlisberger underthrew Chase Claypool on what would have been a wide open touchdown and they weren't able to capitalize, but it's neither here nor there. 17-10 was all right. The Steelers weren't able to stop Justin Herbert at all, but then the Chargers scored 10 in the third quarter and the Steelers were able to score nothing, and it looked like it was over. It was 27-10 pretty late in the third quarter, and then the Steelers battled back to throw 27 points in the fourth quarter, a very, very high-scoring fourth quarter where the Chargers were themselves able to put up 14. But let's get into the game more in depth now. Let's look at play-by-play. The Steelers started off pretty good. They were the first team to get on the board, driving down the field. It did end up stopping at the Chargers 18 after an incomplete pass to Deontay Johnson, but Steelers were able to get on the board first, 3-0. That's when the pain started happening. The defense in this game was just god awful. I mean, you don't really expect much when you're missing 3 players that are starters on top of whoever you lost throughout the year, but it was really bad. The Chargers and Justin Herbert were able to do whatever they wanted, and it ended with them getting down the field. And Austin Eckler, I should point out, and specifically, were really able to do whatever they wanted. It ended up with them getting all the way down the field, and Austin Eckler scoring a touchdown, one of many on the day. It was a tough day. I said that Keenan Allen was my biggest concern, and the Steelers did against shutting down Keenan Allen. He finished with what? He finished with not good. The Steelers allowed him to get 9 catches for 112 yards, no touchdowns, so I guess you could call it but the Steelers didn't really shut down anything. Again, I don't know how much blame there could be thrown around with how the defense was impacted with injuries and COVID, but you do expect better. Then Steelers get a chance to answer. Obviously, the Steelers had the ball first, and it was a good-looking drive. The Steelers were able to drive down the field, and this is where the pass deep to Chase Claypool really bit them. I mean, the Steelers are at least tied in this game. As soon as this play happened, I said circle this play. This play had me thinking, this is why I don't understand why last week Mason Rudolph was blamed for the loss. That was exactly what I expect from a backup quarterback, what Ben did here. He missed a wide open Chase Claypool, and it was still a good gain. I mean, he hit him enough where it was a 37-yard explosive play, but it should have been a touchdown. Claypool had burned Asante Samuel, and Asante Samuel, until he got a concussion, I mean, I guess the concussion counts too. He just had a really rough day. He got attacked when he's been a really good rookie, but Steelers kind of took advantage of him. But anyway, that took the Steelers down to the Chargers 5. The Steelers drafted a first-round running back, and this is where I can't blame it on Ben Roethlisberger anymore. So now you're down here, you should be able to at least get some points, right? Right? You'd expect that. But the Steelers kind of forgot that Najee Harris, exists and can run north and south. They really just don't like running north and south. And he only got 1 touch on the second and goal carry. And it wasn't exactly north-south. Anyway, 3rd and 2, Steelers pass incomplete, short right to Chase Claypool. Nothing there. And then they go for it on 4th and goal and come up with nothing. They are unable to get the pass to Pat Freiermuth. It sucked, but you're like, okay, you put the defense in a slightly better position. At this point, you don't really realize that the defense is going to do that poorly. I mean, Justin Herbert has had his way, but you kind of expect, okay, this is going to take a 98-yard drive for them to just get a touchdown, so that's fine. But what do they do? They do a 98-yard touchdown. The defense looks terrible. They're just allowing everything. Nothing else can be said. Steelers do answer back, though. They're able to score their own touchdown. This one to Deontay Johnson. He had a very good day in this game. It felt like every time the Chargers were getting the ball back, they were going to score no matter what. Luckily, before the end of the half, they kept the Chargers to a field goal, so it's like, okay, at least we could stop them from scoring touchdowns. Whatever. 17-10. Coming out of the second quarter, touchdown allowed in 6 plays. Very quick. Wasn't hard to get down the field at all. Third quarter sucks for the Steelers. Steelers then come out with the third quarter offense. Punt, 3 and out. Nothing showing. They gained 2 yards, and then they had to punt. This led to a Chargers field goal, up 27-10. Felt like insurmountable. Steelers then answer. It looks like it's kind of out of the question. They take a 4-minute drive pretty late in the game and only score a field goal when they were at the Chargers 18 and on 4th and 4. A lot of people thought they should have gone for it, and they probably should have. Field goal felt like turning over, but whatever. Then a miracle happens. The Steelers get a 3 and out And not only did they get a 3-and-out, it felt like the only time the defense was going to come up. The special team said, all right, we want to make this a game. We want to make this competitive. We see you, defense. You're rising up, playing good defense. Cameron Hayward came up big. Oh, I'm sorry, not on this one. Cameron Hayward came up big on the next one. But they were able to get a stop. It felt amazing. But anyhow, Miles Killebrew comes in on the punt and blocks a punt, and it gets put all the way down to the Chargers 3. The Steelers are able to immediately capitalize. It gets to 4th and goal, but they're able to get a defensive pass interference, which puts it first as goal. And then they remembered that Najee Harris is a north-south runner, and that's why you draft a first-round running back. If you're going to do it, you should play to his strengths. Congratulations, Matt Canada, you remembered. And Najee Harris gets a 1-yard touchdown going over the pile. There's a little bit of hope at this point, but the Chargers are still doing exactly what they want to the defense. It felt like last drive was just a fluke, and they go downfield, and Austin Eckler is able to get an easy 5-yard touchdown after bad play by Joe Schobert and Devin Bush, not being able to fill in the gaps. Steelers then answer with their own touchdown drive again, getting all the way down the field, and this was Eric Ebron's last play. Doesn't even look like he got hurt. Could have been adrenaline, could have been like a Robert Woods situation. Like he got up, he was smiling and happy he got a touchdown. That's how the drive ended. Then the miracle happens. As I pointed out, Cameron Hayward came up very clutch. He leads the Steelers in passes defensed with 7. Absolute been amazing at getting in passing lanes. He gets his helmet and hands in the passing lanes, causes a ball to go straight up. I've never seen a ball hang in the air that long after being deflected. Cameron Sutton's able to get underneath it and intercept the ball, and now the Steelers have life because this is at the Chargers, I believe 25. No, not even. The Chargers 11. I apologize for having that wrong. Takes 2 plays. Steelers score. We have a tie game. There's a lot of hope happening right now. The momentum has completely swung. The Steelers have a huge, huge fourth quarter resurgence and have now put up 24 points, all in the fourth quarter. Then it happens again. Chargers are held to a 3-and-out. They decide they're going to go for it. 4th and 1. Nothing there. Joe Schobert comes and plugs the hole, and the Steelers get a drive starting at the Chargers 34. Now there's a lot of hope. The Steelers unfortunately aren't able to do much with it. They gain 7 yards on 3rd and 3, and then they elect to kick the field goal. But the Steelers have their second lead of the game only after they scored the first field goal to start the game, and it's up 37-34. Then disaster strikes again. The defense isn't able to hold, and mostly Trey Norwood. He struggles to read his assignment, and Mike Williams goes for a 53-yard touchdown. But it left the Steelers a lot of clock left. 2:09. The Steelers had that 2-minute warning. I believe they only had 1 timeout left, but they had time to drive down the field and make a play. Unfortunately, it just wasn't happening. The Chargers defense came up big. Joe Haig came up really, really small. He gave up 2 sacks back-to-back. You could blame one on Moore if you would like, but I felt like they were both on Haig there. And it just ended the Steelers' drive. They weren't able to do anything. They looked to try to do a ladder play, but that was the end of the game. It was 4th and 32. It was basically insurmountable. So on top of it, the Steelers took a delay of game penalty because, they couldn't use the timeout. So it sucks. The Steelers fell just short of a monster comeback. It would have been their biggest fourth quarter comeback in history, but unfortunately it just wasn't for the history books today. Some thoughts on some of the players. I thought Devin Bush had a really bad game to start. He's one of the guys that's left out there that is supposed to be a starter. And I just thought he wasn't very good. I thought that he continues his not being interested in tackling. And honestly, frankly, I don't care how exaggerated it is. I would take a 5th round pick to just have him go somewhere else in the offseason. did not like Devin Bush after his offseason antics this year. It really put a bad taste in my mouth, and I was like, I hope Robert Spillane plays better than him. And I guess it's be careful what you wish for, because as of right now, Devin Bush has been playing terrible. And I mean, Spillane's not great in any sense of the word, but he's been playing all right. He was out there on one of the 3-and-outs that the Chargers had, covering the running back. He didn't do anything special, but he was out there. And personally, I think he might be better than Devin Bush at this point, because Bush is like broken goods. Maybe bench him for now, and then you go into next year and reset. But I think Bush just doesn't look interested in tackling. He's not good at it when he is there. He's not filling his gaps at all. He's supposed to be speed, and he's not showing it. On top of the problems that we had when he was coming out of college, where he's not like he's not a guy to light up the stat sheet. Just hasn't really been showing up anywhere, and he's just been doing a really bad job. I still hold by that, though. I hold by my statement. I don't care how drastic it is. It is my hot take. That I could see Devin Bush go for a 5th-round pick, and I wouldn't mind. I don't care. The Steelers might be able to get more. With how he's been playing, though, I doubt it. Anyhow, other thoughts on the defense. Trey Norwood had that killer play to end the game, basically the Mike Williams touchdown, but I thought he stepped in and did all right up until that point. It just sucks. It's unfortunate. It was a very big play, and it was game-changing, but as a whole, I thought he did good, and the Steelers did find someone really solid in the 7th round. I mean, you're expecting a 7th-round rookie to step in for Minkah Fitzpatrick, and I think we did feel, I forgot about that. I wanted to mention that. I really felt that Minkah Fitzpatrick's coverage was missed. I was kind of low on Fitzpatrick this year. I knew his coverage abilities were still there, but I was so low on him that I don't think I was processing how important his coverage is, but I felt it in this game. Highsmith was a guy that I called on to step up, and he did. He really struggled against Slater, but then the Steelers were smart and moved him over, and he then finished the game with 1.5 sacks, combining with Taco Charlton for his 2nd sack. And basically those two were the only two to get a sack on the day. There's only 2 sacks on Justin Herbert. I thought he had a good day working against Storm Norton when he got moved over there. Who else? I don't know if there's anyone else to point out other than like Cameron Hayward, who I already pointed out. But yeah, I don't really expect to win when you have your running lines with Derek Tuska, Daniel Archibong, Taco Charlton, Akilla Witherspoon had a really bad day. That wasn't very good from him. Terrell Edmonds had okay day. He had missed tackles early on and missed things. Missed everything. Oh, Cameron Sutton. I knew that I was missing someone. That's why I was looking for him. Cameron Sutton had a big day. He had 10 tackles. That's the most of his career in either NFL or college. Big day for him. He obviously had that pick, which mostly was Cameron Hayward, but he was in position and got underneath it, so that was good. Going to the offensive side, honestly, Ben Roethlisberger did the best that I thought we could see. I know I predicted a 30-point game from the Steelers, but I was just like, this is just random. I don't really think it's going to happen. But yeah, no, Ben Roethlisberger looked good. He's the only quarterback to not have thrown an interception since week 5. I don't think what he's doing is sustainable at all. I think this is more of a fluke because of what we've seen. And I mean, he still didn't even throw for 300 yards in this game. So it's not like he was amazing, but that's good enough. I mean, if the Steelers could do this more often, they'd win more games. It feels like when one problem is happening, the Steelers can never have a complete team or a complete game. When the Steelers offense comes in like this, the defense is playing like absolute dog doo-doo. And, I mean, again, that's not really the defense's fault when they're missing a all-pro in TJ Watt, a very good player in Minkah Fitzpatrick this year and has been an all-pro the past 2 years. And then just more on top of it, you don't have Tuitt, you don't have Tyson Alualu, you don't have Joe Hayden for this game. It's just all really tough to come back from. But yeah, if altogether the Steelers could play like this all the time, it would be great. They'd win. They would actually be contenders and be a playoff team. But jury's out on if they could even make the playoffs this year. But back to what I was saying originally, Ben Roethlisberger did really good. I thought that he had a really good game as a whole. I was very disappointed in the run game. I know I pointed out that, hey, the Chargers were 32nd in run yards allowed per game, and they had to make changes because of COVID and injuries, and it might have helped their run game, but it shouldn't have helped that much. Najee was kept in check. He only had 12 carries for 39 yards. He did get that touchdown, but not a good day from him for successful runs. Benny Snell had one successful run, but other than that, uh, just no run game at all in this game against the 32nd ranked run defense. And they were still putting practice squad players in there. I don't care who it was. Like, this was just a very embarrassing performance from the run game, and a lot of it could be put on the offensive line. They were having struggles run blocking in this game, and then Joe Haig obviously had a really tough game at the end. They were doing all right in the pass blocking department up until then, but yeah, the offensive line just didn't play great. Immediately early in the game, something that comes to mind is Kendrick Green got mauled by a bull rush from, I believe, Anthony Brown, the practice squad guy. Just not very good from him. What else do I want to point out with the offense? Deontay Johnson continues to impress. Chase Claypool actually had a really solid game. Eric Ebron, solid game. Pat Freiermuth got that touchdown. I don't think there's really anything else that I wanted to specifically point out with the offense. The team just got to get healthy. I mean, I think that this game goes much differently if T.J. Watt and Joe Hayden play, just two of the three, maybe even one of the three. Maybe if just TJ Watt plays, it's a different game. Because, I mean, then you're imagining TJ Watt likely on Storm Norton, or you get to switch their sides, maybe give Rashawn Slater a harder assignment in TJ Watt, and then Alex Highsmith continues doing what he's doing. I think it's better than having, like, Slater maul Taco Charlton towards the end of the game, or Slater having a really good game against Highsmith to start. It's tough. These are what ifs, but got to move on. I'm happy with the performance. I know I picked the Steelers to win, but that was mostly on a gut feeling. I'm happy they were able to put up 30. It proves that they can do it. I hope it's not a fluke. Feels like it, but hope it's not. Moving forward, the Steelers get to face. Wow, why can't I remember who the Steelers are facing this week? Bengals. The Steelers are facing the Bengals in this upcoming week, so there is that. So now that I feel like I wrapped up this game, I would like to talk about what happened in the NFL in Week 11. So Week 11, I actually did pretty well with my picks. First, we have we already talked about the Pats, Falcons. So let's go to the Colts and Bills. The Bills are frauds. There's no other way for me to put it. The Bills are just straight up frauds. I don't know why their team isn't as good as they were last year, but I mean the teams they've beaten are unimpressive, and the teams that beat them are just ugh. Like they can't handle good teams. I know everyone's going to say they beat Kansas City. Kansas City was like going through something at that time. There's hot streaks, and I mean Kansas City looked like they sucked. They looked like they were going to miss the playoffs. Now that changed a little bit. That Kansas City looks a little bit better, but they're still not the same. I can't call that a good victory. The Steelers beat them. The Titans beat them, and now the Colts just absolutely mauled them. 41-15, 5 touchdowns by Jonathan Taylor. That Buffalo team is going nowhere. I feel like whatever AFC team makes it to the Super Bowl is just going to get mauled by the NFC team. Feels like all these AFC teams are just really, really bad this year. There's no, like, clear favorite, at least in my head. The Titans, I believe, still hold on to the 1 seed, but even they look bad, and we'll get to that next, in a second, not next. Ravens at Bears. Lamar Jackson didn't play. The Ravens just find a way. You could hate the Ravens, but you have to respect their game. They find a way to win games that they probably shouldn't have. No Lamar Jackson, no Marquise Brown. They make it work. In the last minute, Huntley leads them down the field to score a touchdown to take the lead. Doesn't leave the Bears enough time left, and they win 16-13. Sucks. It would have helped the Steelers lost later in the day, but it is what it is. The Bears really blew it. Matt Nagy should probably be fired soon. There is talks that he's going to be fired after this Thursday game. He denied it, but we'll see about that. Lions at Browns. Kind of how I went. I didn't think the Lions how I expected it to win. I didn't expect the Lions to win, but they kept it close at the end. They were able to score 10 points in the second half, while the Browns were able to do nothing. Baker Mayfield looks like an injured quarterback in this game. Both quarterbacks combined for 4 picks together. Just not very good quarterback play as a whole. But Lions keep it within 12.5. Browns did almost lose, though. Very close. At the very least, it almost got sent into overtime. Had Detroit taken advantage of an early pick, it could have easily went to overtime. But anyway, Titans at Texans. One of the biggest surprise. Texans at Titans. My apologies. One of the biggest surprises of the week. Houston completely dominates. Ryan Tannehill looks like dog poo poo. He throws 4 picks and only 1 touchdown. Just really bad. He had 52 throws on the day. The running backs all just don't do very good as a whole, other than maybe Hilliard, who had caught 8 passes out of the backfield. But very surprising performance. The Texans didn't do anything special either. It's just those picks were killer for the Titans, and the Texans win 22-13. Packers Vikings, very good game. I was very happy with that. I was glad I got to watch a good portion of that. That was one of the games that I focused in on. And just overall, very exciting game. Both quarterbacks came to play through no interceptions, combined for 7 touchdowns. Very good game from both. And Marcus Valdes-Scantling getting that touchdown at the end to make it a game, and then the Vikings were able to drive downfield. Justin Jefferson, man, that dude is going to be good for a long time. He's just an excellent player. Him and Adam Thielen are one of the better wide receiver duos in the NFL. I really like what they're doing there. And quite the change from the start of this podcast. I don't know exactly where the transition began, but Kirk Cousins before Lamar Jackson. Kirk Cousins was my Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson. I thought he was the most overrated quarterback. He didn't deserve all the hype he got. Just didn't really do anything that great. Threw a lot of points, a lot of stats in garbage time. But I've kind of rounded in on him. I feel like he's now properly rated. Like, he does a good job. He's not amazing, but he gets the job done. And I think that he's actually a solid quarterback now. Quite the arc for him. Maybe I'll get that arc for Lamar Jackson eventually, but not right now. Anyway, Kirk Cousins, solid quarterback. Vikings win 34-31. Jets at Miami at Jets. I keep saying the wrong team. I apologize. Miami wins 24-17. Snooze fest for me. I had no interest in watching this. I watched a little of it just to see what my man's Myles Gaskin was doing. And he had 23 carries for 89 yards. Not amazing, not bad. Played a lot of Wildcat in that game. But, yeah, otherwise, unimportant game for me as the both teams just kind of suck. Wasn't very interesting. Saints at Eagles. Saints were very close to making this a game at the end, but ultimately the Eagles hold on. Never really that much in doubt. Just nothing ongoing for the Saints. Mark Ingram's hurt now too. He might not play for the Thursday Night Football, which now is going to be later after this episode post. Just every single thing that they have just is no good. It gets hurt. So it's even impressive that they're able to even keep games this close, 40-29 by 11 points. But yeah, never really a game Eagles kind of had control. Football team at Panthers. This was also another good game. I really enjoyed watching this one. I liked everything that was going on. I really thought that the Panthers were going to drive downfield and be able to win this game, but just wasn't in the cards. Cam Newton actually looks solid. He looks like he's helping their team. I mean, it's really hard to be worse than Sam Darnold, but Cam Newton is doing Cam Newton things and not hurting his team. They take that. Christian McCaffrey looks good again, 10 carries for 59 yards, and then he also led the team in receptions with 7 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey combo is a pretty solid one for the Panthers. Just not enough, though. Washington football team pulls away and wins 27-21. 49ers at Jaguars. You wanted to watch a team just get absolutely creamed? Watch the 49ers just absolutely destroy Jacksonville. Jacksonville was able to do basically nothing the entire game. just awful play from them, and I mean it continues. I mean Urban Meyer should be probably out after 1 year. I hope they don't give him another chance. Jamal Agnew is now out for the year, which was one of their now breakout weapons. So they really have just nothing going for them. I'm going to be shocked if they win another game this year. It's going to be really tough for them. I know that they get to see the Texans, but they feel like on a different tier than the Texans, and the Texans just had a pretty impressive victory themselves. So, something to watch. Raiders at Bengals, a somewhat closer game, a game that I thought was a little bit closer prior to the actual game occurring. It was only a 1-point spread for Cincinnati. I kind of felt like Cincinnati was a lot better, even though their record indicates different. But I apologize about the dog. He's just really he's really loud. But apart from that, Cincinnati was able to win and win pretty big, 32-13. The game was closer up until the late fourth quarter, and then moving on to the next set of games, we have the 4:25 Cowboys at Chiefs. Chiefs win 19-9. I didn't really watch this game much. No Amari Cooper for the Cowboys, and then CeeDee Lamb got knocked out of the game. So I mean, it was really tough for the Cowboys to compete after that when you're missing those weapons. I'm pretty sure Ezekiel Elliott got hurt in that game too, but that's not a hurt. Tony Pollard's better. Seahawks and Cardinals. Cardinals just find a way. Screw the NFC West. Their games are really hard to pick. But I went with the thing that I felt was stupider, and I was going with the Cardinals. The Seahawks just look empty. There's like nothing behind those eyes of that team. Team looks like there's nothing going on. So not good from them. Buccaneers and Giants. I have nothing really to say about that game. It was just not a very good game. The Giants just look bad. Tampa Bay looks fine. Easy peasy. And that kind of wraps it up for that. So now, because there are games on Thursday, more than one, we have to pick those. So those games are Chicago at Detroit, Vegas at Dallas, and Buffalo at New Orleans. So starting with Chicago and Detroit. Man, what's not loading the spread for me? I don't know why it has no spread. Is it because the spread is 0? Is it a pick me game? I don't know. I wanted to get the most up to date spread, and it's saying no. Okay, there we go. That's better. Chicago is favored by 3 points in this game. I'm going to take the Lions plus the 3. Give me them to win. Bears are without Allen Robinson again. They're starting Andy Dalton. It's just not a very good game. This game is going to be really boring. It's too bad it's not one of the later ones. It'd be a good one to fall asleep to. I know I joked about the Lions getting smashed on Thursday Night Football, but on Thanksgiving as being a tradition, but I think that they get their first win here. The Bears are just not a very good team, so especially not without Fields and who they're missing. So give me the Lions plus 3. Raiders at Cowboys 4:30 game. Dallas is favored by 7.5. Give me the Raiders plus 7.5. Without Amari Cooper, I don't really trust the Cowboys. I know CeeDee Lamb is questionable, so he's probably going to play in this game, but I feel like the Raiders keep it within 7.5. I have a small feeling the Raiders are going to win this game. Then Bills at Saints at nighttime. Bills are favored by 6.5. God, the Bills have been burning me lately. And I just called them frauds. But as I pointed out with the Saints, it's really, really tough to pick the Saints right now. I mean, they might be down to Tony Jones as their starting running back into this game. Mark Ingram didn't practice on Wednesday. I don't know. I'm going to pick Buffalo to cover, but I'm sure they'll disappoint me. But, all right. So that should wrap up this episode of the Stronger Than Steel podcast. Remember, guys, have a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you and your family well. And everybody, go Steelers.
You have been listening to Stronger Than Steel podcast. Thank you for joining us today, and don't forget to check out our website listed in the description below.